Tonight, Marcus and I are entering into a series about aliens, UFOs, and whistleblowers. My name is Sidalinik, this is Marcus, and you are listening to Fallen Hour Radio.
Line, you're on the air. Hello.
Hello, Art?
Yes.
Hi. I don't have a whole lot of time. Area 51. They're gonna go triangulate on this position really soon. They're extra-dimensional beings that an earlier precursor of the space program made contact with. They are not what they claim to be. They have infiltrated a lot of aspects of the military establishment, particularly the Area 51.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time you're tuning into the podcast, whatever platform it may be on. My name is Sidalinik, this is Marcus, and you are listening to Fallen Hour Radio. What you are listening to right now is actually a real-life phone call that was called into Art Bell. And if you guys don't know who this guy is, you gotta Google him. He was actually an old school newscaster, and he was a radio broadcaster. And this guy calls in, and he was extremely frantic, and he was a whistleblower. He said he was on medical discharge.
He used to work at Area 51.
Yeah, he was. Yeah. He was on medical discharge, and for some reason he was running across the country. And he calls into Art Bell. And this was Art Bell's topic of that night, was talking about Area 51. And he gets his caller, and this guy's extremely frantic, and he's saying that they're gonna triangulate on his area.
Yeah.
And for some unknown reason, while he's getting into extraterrestrials and aliens and UFOs and things, and how the U.S. is planning to start eliminating populations.
No, actually, he said that I think he said the aliens were this whole time. That's what they've been planning, is literally wiping out a large population of all humans, and the government knew about this, and they're just gonna let it happen. And that's what the whole thing was. And he even told Art that they're probably gonna triangulate his position and probably shut down his phone or something, disconnect them. And what was crazy was when he was in the middle of the conversation, it wasn't the phone that got disconnected, his entire radio station shut down. Art Bell's radio station, the entire building shut down, and they had to run everything off the backup generators.
Line, you're on the air. Hello.
Hello, Art?
Yes.
Hi. I don't have a whole lot of time.
Well, look, let's begin by finding out whether you're using this line properly or not.
Area 51.
Yeah, that's right. Were you an employee, or are you now?
A former employee.
Former employee.
I was let go on a medical discharge about a week ago, and I've kind of been running across the country. Oh man, I don't know where to start. They're gonna they'll triangulate on this position really soon.
So you can't spend a lot of time on the phone. So give us something quick.
Okay. Okay. What we're thinking of as aliens are they're extra-dimensional beings that an earlier precursor of the space program made contact with. They are not what they claim to be. They have infiltrated a lot of aspects of the military establishment, particularly the Area 51. The disasters that are coming, the military, the government knows about them, and there's a lot of safe areas in this world that they could begin moving the population to now, Art.
But they're not doing anything.
They are not. They want the major population centers wiped out so that the few that are left will be more easily controllable.
Discharge. some way, something knocked us off the air, and we're on a backup system now.
It's the government, or?
I don't know.
It has to be something, though.
Well, did you hear? Now, you tell me because you were listening.
That was awful strange.
There was a really weird guy on the air when it went off?
Yeah. Real weirded out.
Like going sort of sounding paranoid, schizophrenic?
Like crying and everything.
Yeah. And how far into the conversation was it when it went off?
Just a couple, about 15, 20 seconds, I'd say.
Oh, you guys missed, you really missed a call then, and I've got a feeling somebody didn't want you to hear it.
Yeah. Because it was really strange. All of a sudden, I'm hearing Mark Furman, and when I
That's right. Well, the network, of course, went immediately to a backup tape while we tried to figure out what blew up here. So that's what you heard happen. And then we're now on a backup link system to be on the air at all right now. So, well, I'm telling you, it's lost all transmit capability on this end here in Nevada. The transmitter went belly up suddenly for some unknown reason. I've never seen it do this in all the years that we've been on the air. I have never seen the transmitter in this way just simply fail, massively fail, like a massive heart attack or some kind. And so we have gone to a backup system to get the signal to you right now, and I presume it is getting to you right now.
And that was the last time they heard of him, supposedly.
The weird thing is he was talking about there was safe places in the world, safe havens in the world that people can go to even now. And this was, I don't know when this was released, but he was saying that they were able to go to those places now.
Yeah, there's like supposedly safe places that weren't going to get wiped out, but you know they're saying that they know where these places are and they know of them, and they could be moving people there. You know, moving people there to be safe from this huge catastrophe that's supposed to happen, but they're going to let the population get wiped out.
And he was saying in the phone call too that the U.S. knows about these coming catastrophes and they're just going to let them happen.
The reason why is because they're saying that the if there's a small population of humans, they'll be easier to control.
Yeah. And like Marcus said, the whole station shut down. His power shut off, and listeners were now listening to a backup system, which means that there was a new station that came on, a new segment of someone else's talk show. And the weird thing about this story is a caller called in the next day, and he said he was an art major and he was studying, the theater and acting. And he said he was the caller that called the night before, and Art Bell goes, all right, so if you're the caller that called last night and totally shut our whole station down, somehow, some way, then give us a little snippet of what you did last night. And that guy goes and he tries to recreate that phone call, and he does it word for word, but kind of alters it a little bit. And they put it out there, and Art's almost convinced, but he's not too convinced. And people were calling in saying that this guy that just called in, trying to recreate that phone call, sounded like he was faking because his voice is different, and he wasn't as broken up as the guy.
He didn't have like a state of urgency in his voice.
Yeah,
like it didn't sound like it did before. Like the one that before, like the night before, he sounded like literally like it just sounded real. It sounded like he was scared, like out of his mind, and he was just in this state of urgency and in panic. But the guy that called the next day, he couldn't match that. That was the thing that separated those two, and his voice sounded a little different. But he claimed to be that same person.
Everybody, I am the Area 51 caller. That's my statement, and let you or whatever tear it apart.
You claim you're the Area 51?
I am the man.
How do you account for the fact, Area 51 caller,
okay,
that part of the way through your spiel, the satellite went down?
I have no idea, and it scared the heebie-jeebies out of me that night.
You could give us a little of what you gave us then so that we could hear it and know it to be you?
Are you sure you want me to do that, Art?
I'm positive.
Don't, Art, please. I don't want you to ask me to do this. If I start doing that guy,
You're right about that. Now, let's just take that little sample that you just gave us so that we don't alter some sort of hard little reality here at the end of the program, and we'll let the callers be the judge.
Okay.
All right?
I thank you for this opportunity. This has just been driving me bananas for months, and
it's quite all right. Thank you. Fritz in Phoenix, as a matter of fact, called and said, "Oh yes, that's him." Somebody else said, "Oh no." Now he has done his little Area 51 caller IMO, or the real thing, depending on what you think.
A lot of people were thinking that was their cover-up. Like, okay, we'll just make this guy call and claiming that he was an art student just so everybody ignores everything he said.
It's kind of strange that in a lot of cases, the U.S. or any other government actually, well, the first thing to mention is they now, in today's day and age, 2019, they're acknowledging the existence of UFOs. Mm-hmm. They're acknowledging the phenomena, and there's things that come out on TV like airplane pilots, like military airplane pilots, and they're seeing these UFOs. And then the government comes out and says that they acknowledge UFOs.
Well, it's because all those people that actually came out and started talking about that kind of stuff, like credible people, like governors or mayors or pilots and military, they only came out to say that stuff when they retired.
Yeah.
Because they basically threaten their whole career. Like, you know, if you say this kind of thing, you're not supposed to talk about that, because if you say that kind of thing, you can be grounded, you can be let go, they'll get rid of you and just basically make you seem crazy until, so a lot of them waited until afterwards. So after they retired or they were, done doing what they were doing, that's when they finally came out and said, okay, this is what really happened. Like, I can't remember his name right now, but he was, wasn't he the governor of, when the whole lights over, no, lights over Phoenix?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And he came on this one documentary, and he was talking about how the government tried to make him cover everything up. They told him to cover it up, told him to make something up, and he even tried to make it seem, he kind of mocked it. He even brought out a guy dressed up like a Martian and just made it, he was like real stupid, and he even said like he regretted that because it just made him look douchey, stupid. I guess, yeah. And he finally came out and said, no, it was real, everything was real. And they made him cover it up, and now that he's not the governor anymore, he came out and talked about it.
You should move that down. I feel like we're missing your face.
I don't care. I don't want them to see my face.
It's fine there.
Everybody on the podcast.
Well, just before we continue with our segment about this phenomena, we want to mention that to any listeners that are in Hardin, Montana, and listeners that are in Billings, Montana, we have just been covered in the newspaper, and it's going to be out today. Well, this morning anyways, because we're releasing this on Thursday. And we are covering a topic that has been plaguing Native Americans for quite some time. For decades. A very long time. And for some reason, it's been ignored. And the cause is called Missing and Murdered Indigenous People and Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women. And if you guys aren't familiar with this out there across the world, or if you guys are listening across the country, you guys can Google Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women. You guys go to Google and type in MMIW, and you'll find a whole slew of information about this topic and all these people's stories. And me and Marcus are actually, with Fallen Hour, we are covering this whole series, and we're doing a whole documentary on this, a whole docu-series, and it's going to be really interesting. We just worked with Jonah Morissette tonight, or last night. He's come back tonight anyways, and we're going to re-record a song with him, and I think it's going to touch a lot of hearts out there, and I hope that we get that, our voice heard, and get those people's voices heard, the people that are affected right now, and hopefully reach the people out there who are in the position to make some changes. Mm-hmm. That being said, back to the podcast. But I think that it's kind of strange that there's all these different conspiracies going around, and I'm hearing more recently that the conspiracies, like the alien conspiracies and 9/11 conspiracies and all these conspiracies about Donald Trump and the presidency and Russia and things like that, are actually coming into effect now, because they're actually starting to say that maybe this is some sort of ploy. Maybe that the government is actually pushing out these conspiracies for some sort of game on their part.
Or just kind of sleight of hand.
Yeah.
Distract you with this while the real thing is going on.
And it could be like a ploy. Mm. I mean, we could be falling subject to it right now.
By talking about it?
No, but I think that...
You're talking about it.
I think that alien conspiracies and UFO conspiracies and things like that are something to talk about, because, I mean, the universe is huge, and it kind of seems weird to say that when you're sitting on Earth and sitting in your city, sitting at your home, and talking about the universe, because it's something you don't see every day.
If you actually see like a picture or diagram of how small the Earth is compared to everything else around us, it just makes you feel so small. Like, I remember seeing this diagram, and it showed how big the Earth was and how big the other planets were next to it is just like nothing. And that's just our solar system. It's huge. It is.
And there's not just one solar system.
Like outer space, like just infinite. And just to imagine that we're the only living things in this entire universe is crazy.
It's dumb to think about.
Yeah, like thinking about that, but I remember I've always thought like, this stuff was interesting, and I was like reading into it and kind of thinking about that, like the possibility of that actually being, real. And I remember when that picture came out of Mars.
Oh yeah, the
and
Mars
it
rover.
literally looked like people were saying it looked like a witch. Just the way that
when I saw it, I was
they
like,
said it almost looked like Bigfoot.
When I saw it, I was like, that's the Grinch. Remember that part
sitting on that rock
in the Grinch when he's trying to hide himself?
That cloak. Yeah. And I remember seeing that and just thinking, oh, it's just maybe a rock formation. And then they showed the next picture they took after it, and it was gone.
Yeah.
Now that's where it gave me the creeps. Like, there's something walking around up there. Wondering, like...
preying on Whoville.
But after seeing that, I was like, okay, yeah, they're finally starting... Like, that they actually showed on the news and stuff, so I was like, okay, maybe this is real.
I mean, it's kind of
I'm not saying that everything you see on the news is real, but just saying that helped.
It's kind of iffy, though, because I remember watching this one documentary, and there was this guy who worked with NASA, and he said he remembers walking into the Capitol, and he said there was this big screen, and there was all these sitting generals at the time, and they were all watching what looked like a laser fight in the solar system.
Oh, wow.
He said there were these like ships, and they were like moving like crazy, and there was like lasers, looked like they were shooting each other, like there was a fight going on. And all these generals were
like
sitting
all
there.
Star Wars style?
Yeah.
Right?
And all these generals are sitting there watching it. Like it was a normal happening. Like, okay, if they come into the solar system, then we're gonna step in, but if they're out there, then we can just watch them from here.
That's so weird.
The same guy was talking about how he was a part of NASA's team, and what NASA would do is, if there's a feed out there, because there's a live feed you can look up online now that actually shows the space station. You can watch the space station right now, live feed, and there was people that are on there all the time looking for UFOs, and there was this one instant where this looked like a ship coming down to Earth into the atmosphere, and as it was coming down, the camera was watching it, and as it stopped, NASA cut the feed.
Wow.
And it said like, broadcast interrupted, whatever.
Oh, whoops, technical error. Technical difficulties.
Due to the space Martians up north.
But actually, I was listening to... Okay, that's... What the hell was that?
It's our cats.
It's the aliens.
It's the aliens. Excuse our children and our cats.
They've been kind of wild tonight, so... But anyway, I was actually reading into some things and like articles and I started watching videos with the same subject. But what really caught my interest was, in I think it's Utah. I want to say Utah. I know, I see her. But in I want to say Utah. There was this place it was actually called the Skinwalker Ranch.
Is that That's the guy that was seeing all these aliens in his ranch, right?
No, he was seeing like some weird things. Like he was even talking about like wolves and stuff, like ginormous wolves that were just crazy. All this. He bought this ranch.
I thought it had something to do with Manson too. That ranch.
He bought this ranch. I don't know, but he bought this ranch and he didn't even like bother kind of looking around before he bought it. He just up and bought it, and he. And then once he moved in, him and his family started walking around it and checking everything out, and he started noticing weird things about this place, and his family started seeing just crazy things like like these humanoid type beings, and they even actually have pictures and stuff. I was gonna bring that up on the next one, but he I think the daughter started taking pictures of this thing that she kept seeing, and I think they ended up moving, or somebody bought their ranch later on. Like he started putting these stories out and asking people what this is and everything, and the daughter was putting all this stuff out, and it started getting a lot of attention, and somebody came and bought this ranch, and that actually turned into an alien research facility.
That ranch,
that's what it is now.
Oh, weird. And
it was this alien research facility for a little while. And I can't remember if it was government funded or not, but then they stepped out. I believe they stepped out, and it was just like privately funded, but they weren't saying who was funding it. And it supposedly shut down. And later on, somebody else bought it, and I'll bring it up later on with all the names and everything. But you'll probably know who they are. But they actually still research that today. Like it's still up and running, yeah.
Weird.
It's still up and running, and
so it's like a hotspot.
Like I'll probably give you a few names, like when I listened to it, and I was actually watching these videos and all this research, like other people's research on it. What are you doing?
I feel like your face is like.
You not know the purpose of a pop filter? But he but what was weird is that now you made me forget where I was at.
About names and
but you'll probably know who they are. And what's crazy about it is
yeah. Did he buy the ranch?
No, but what the team of people.
He's probably got a silver cone head that he wears there.
Yeah, but it's made out of tin foil. But they actually I think the group of people that actually work there is what the movie Contact. It's what they're based off of.
It's made out of tin foil. I just thought it was freaking science. They're sitting there.
You're like making me forget where I'm at. What I'm talking about.
When he's unwrapping. That's off the piece. I'm sorry.
You're such an idiot.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm all over the place now. I'm trying to pay attention. He's over here messing around, but
okay, so they bought the ranch.
Yeah.
There's a specific people that bought it who
what they described the creature was, like the way they described the way this thing was moving. They said that it wasn't it was almost like a grayish white color.
That's what they say they are.
It almost looked, they said not human, but human features.
Yeah.
And they said like the eyes were just hollow.
Oh, that's weird.
And this is what's going to creep you out, because you're not going to like this part, because I know you. Is they said this thing wasn't walking. It wasn't walking on four legs. It was almost like crawling. And they said the way it was moving was like jerky. It wasn't like fluid motion like when people crawl or move.
Like a zombie?
It was like jerking around while it was moving. And what it reminded me of, and the way they described it, was that video we watched where it was outside that guy's house.
The Bigfoot, was it Bigfoot?
No,
gray
it was
entity?
Supposed to be like some kind of demon thing.
Alien gray entity or something like that.
Yeah, and he calls his pastor up, and he's talking to him, and that thing's moving around.
You know what? You just pissed me off, because you know what I've got to do tonight? I got to download that video and put it in here right now.
Now? A little bit, yeah. Alright, you're not going to believe this. I got it on video now. People think I'm nuts. It's on video. It's playing right now. I put the iPad in the window, and now this thing's coming up to the steps in my backyard, Mike.
What's coming up?
It's like a weird demonic looking thing, and it's like a human, and it's all scratched down. And this is the second time this happened this week. And as I'm talking to you, this is all on recorded, and it doesn't see me. I'm in that, that sunroom. All right, I've been putting the iPad out. It's about around, and it happened. Weird things been happening around this time at night.
Can I record it?
You're on record. Everything's recording now. I can see the thing. It's like looking around weird.
Is it recording the video?
Yeah, right now it's on the video. It doesn't see me. I'm sitting back, but I can still see out the window really good. You should see.
Hear you?
No, it can't. But it's looking around like something out of a weird sci-fi movie. This thing is freaky. It's on video. Huh?
Not a person?
No, it's an evil identity. It's evil entity. This thing's like wicked looking. But it's a human form though. You gotta wait until you see the video. I got it on video. It's
okay, good.
This is like one out of a million things that people will not. They'll think they won't think I'm crazy no more. Wait until you see this. Oh my God! It's like you should see this thing, Mike. Oh my God! Like a gargoyle. It's like a gargoyle, man. And it's like 35 feet away, and it came out of those weeds. You know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
It's a plant.
On the left side, or by the right?
Looking out.
On the backyard?
Yeah, on the right side. There's the weeds there going down that sidewalk.
Okay.
I got it on everything, and and everything. The whole thing right now, it's the iPad's recording everything. Me, you, and this thing. And I don't know, what's the police gonna think? It's looking, oh my God, oh my gosh. Dude, this thing is weird.
Sure it's not somebody you should call the police?
Yeah, no, it's a demonic creature. It's not human. And it goes back. It just went back. It dove back. It like wobbled back in. I can't even explain it.
Went back in the weeds?
Yeah, like it knows something's going on. I got it now. I got it on tape.
Huh.
Yeah, just pray. Wait till you see this thing, man. Just pray. This is really freaking me out because 3 nights ago, I'm laying on the couch. I heard something open the door and walk through the sunroom as I'm laying on the couch. Then as I woke up, it was like gone. It was like it shot back through real quick. And I know I heard the door. Then 2 nights ago, I was seeing like this. I was seeing this thing. See, and now it's gone. So I got 2 minutes on tape on a video, Mike. Yeah, so it's like everything you're saying and hearing now. When I play you back the video, you're gonna wait till you see this. Just pray. I mean, this people won't think they're not gonna think I'm crazy when they see this now. This is unreal. Just pray.
Just pray?
Yeah.
Yeah, praise you, Jesus. Father God, I just want to lift Rick up to you right now, Lord. I don't know why he's being tormented like this, Lord, but we know you know. And Lord, you've been speaking to him in visions and dreams concerning his work and different things, and the enemy is being attacked by you, Lord. And he's all worked up, but God, I just come against this. I bind these things right now, these evil spirits that are just harassing Rick and just coming into his yard. I just bind those things right now. I command them to cease and be still, be gone. I pray that you give Rick peace right now. I come against all fear. I bind that in Jesus' name. I pray, Father, that you just give peace and comfort, Lord, that he knows that Lord, that you are watching over, Lord. You are his rear guard, that nothing's going to come. When you lay down at night, no sudden terror will come upon you.
Oh my God, there it is, Mike. It came back. Oh my gosh.
I command you to go in Jesus' name.
This thing is looking weird. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. It knows something's going on, man. This thing is... Oh my gosh. Oh my God. Oh my gosh, I don't know what happened. We got disconnected. I even called the minister. It went back. And what made
me kind of like start thinking of, like, I brought up a theory to you, earlier, was that all this like kind of revolved around demonic.
Yeah.
I remember people coming to me, like, talking to me about this kind of stuff, and they're saying, like, oh, like, asking me questions, like, about the Bible, like, saying, like, that demons weren't really cast into the earth, that they were kind of
already here,
almost damned above. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I don't really remember hearing that. But then they started saying, like, they're asking if that's what aliens were, like maybe they were, that's what they were, that's what people are seeing. And it kind of brought up a question, like, thinking, like, maybe that was one of the strategies they use to make you question everything, what you believe, or God, is if God created this or created the earth, why would he create aliens and this and that? Like, they started bringing that kind of stuff up. And that's what I said, like, well, maybe, the theory is, like, maybe that's what they use, to kind of make you question that, because that's kind of what one of their goals is. And I was like kind of bringing that up, and what really made me start thinking maybe that was true was when we saw that video with this kind of humanoid figure that was moving, or just even the way it moved, I'm picturing it right now. But what made me kind of think that maybe that could have been true is he was on the phone with his pastor, and he was telling him that he's filming it right now. It's back. It's around his house, and but this time he's filming it. He has it on camera. Yeah. Isn't he filming it with his iPad?
Yeah.
And his pastor starts praying with him. And I remember seeing another video. This guy, he's kind of breaking it down and reviewing this video, and I could tell he didn't really do all his research, was because he thought that this pastor was speaking a different language, a foreign language, but what he was speaking in tongues. He was speaking God's language.
Yeah.
And when he did that, this creature didn't like it. It freaked out. Like, it started twitching, and it started backing away really quick, and it literally left. It moved away. It didn't like it. And I think that was the last time he saw it, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But that was one thing that made me kind of think that maybe that was true. Like, that theory was kind of plausible.
I think it's totally true, because when I was studying about angels and demons, mm-hmm. I know that Satan, because God has his certain way to do things, so he has it ordered with his angels. And when I was studying, there's 5 divisions of angels, and each of them had a certain thing they dealt with. There was worship, and there was worship and praising God and things like that.
Yeah.
There was only one division of angels who actually dealt with humanity, and they were just classified as just angels. And you had all these archangels and seraphims and cherubs and things like that.
Yeah.
But there was only one division that dealt with angels. And when you look at what Satan would do, is he would probably more than likely want to copy God. So if he was to have a rank with demons, then there would be 5 divisions of demons. That's one of my theories, anyways. And when people say they see these grays that are humanoid,
yeah, that's what they call them, is grays.
And they say that when the angels, that when the ones that deal with humans, they look human. Mm-hmm. So what would be classified as Satan's version would be these grays.
You know what, that actually falls along the line of something else I researched, and they're talking about, like, when you see aliens, or even when they brought up, like, this whole thing. I remember watching this or kind of researching this all together, and even one person kind of pieced this all together with almost urban legends. Mm-hmm. He kind of tied it in with skinwalkers because they had similarities. Was some people believe that when you see them, you see what they want you to see. Like you might see a fox, you might see a dog, you might see a wolf.
And for skinwalkers, people out there who may not know, is they're basically shapeshifters.
Yeah, they're supposed
more
to be
likely with the Native American culture.
Supposed to be like witches. Like there's a whole thing. We'll get into that sometime. But like they're not all witches, I guess. But there's it's a big topic. We'll get into that some other time. But for now. There was similarities because they said that when you look at them you might see a wolf, and if I look at it I might see a dog or something else. But they said the same thing about aliens. Like you see one thing, I might see another. Like and even kind of brought back a memory of that movie, The Fourth Kind, when they thought they were seeing an owl. Some people thought they were seeing an owl, like seeing some different creature, when in reality it was that alien. So that kind of almost that makes sense. Like they make you see what you wanted to see. Like if you wanted to see him as human, you'll see him as human. Or if they want you to see him as that. So yeah, that doesn't make sense.
And I remember watching when I was watching Benny Hinn this one time, and this guy gets into studies like crazy, and he studied on alien demons like crazy. Mm-hmm. And last second, what was his name? The lady with the pink hair on TVN?
Oh, I can't remember her name.
Her name is her husband. And he asks him last second, he says, so what are UFOs? What are we seeing around the world? And he says, I gotta come back and talk about it some other time, but I believe they're demonic.
Yeah.
And then come like a few years back, the Vatican comes in talking about they're actually acknowledging UFOs, and now they're saying they're angelic.
Really? Well, I didn't see that.
There's like a whole thing on it, like they're gonna start teaching on it and things like that. But
and what's crazy is this is nothing new. Mm-hmm. Like you think this has been around for maybe even 50 years or so, when they actually started really talking about it, or what I've known as them, talking about it. But there's actually accounts of them actually being pictured on hieroglyphics, pictographs, seeing ships, or even some tribes they make their outfits out of what they see. If they see something kind of crazy shaped, almost alien looking, they'll make an outfit like that. Or either when they their jewelry, they'll start making their jewelry off of things that they've seen. And they found a bunch of jewelry back in like the Egyptian days, and they look like spaceships. They do. Yeah. They look like almost, even some of them look like. Would you stop doing that? Some of them look like planes. And they're saying they look like ships, and that's interesting. Like if they are demonic, if they are demon-like, then that would make sense that they've been around that long.
Ancient. Mm-hmm. Ancient. And it comes back to an interview that was just done recently with Bob Lazar and Joe Rogan. And Bob Lazar, in mid-interview, he's talking about UFOs, and he's saying that he sees them in bunkers. I'm paraphrasing. And he said his buddy, or his partner there, he said he never talked about this stuff. You can talk about it at all. And the group was small, like 3 people. Mm. And he said he got the impression that the UFOs that he was seeing there, he only saw all of them once at one time. He said they were dug up in archaeological digs.
Oh yeah,
so they were ancient.
That, yeah. Like the actual ships that he saw working there.
Yeah,
they were ancient.
Ancient.
That's crazy.
And they far surpass our technology today, and they're ancient. Puts it in perspective, like how small and stupid we are.
How slow we are.
Slow we are. And it's kind of strange though, because I'll talk about this really quick. There was when Eisenhower was in the presidency, he started Area 51, and there was some sort of saying or urban legend that he actually went out and met with the aliens at a base, and he had like a first contact with them. So this means that if this was the first contact, this was the first contact for the United States, maybe the world. and he has contact with them, and they said he was there for maybe about 50 minutes.
So he's all casual, he just walks up and shakes his thing's hand.
I don't know how
That's
it
like
went.
what the story goes.
But the weird thing was, after that meeting...
There's a video I was going to show you.
Okay, after that meeting, the U.S. started advancing in technology rapidly. Okay, go ahead.
So after he met them, then out of nowhere, our technology just took off.
But same time, abductions in the United States started going up to 24%, I believe.
Oh wow, that's a lot.
A huge portion of the population was disappearing after that meeting, supposed meeting.
That's crazy.
So chew on that one.
That's crazy.
The baby's crying.
I know.
And stuff.
But no, it's this is a big topic. Like I know we're just kind of scattered all over the place right now, but anyway, it's a big topic. Like we could break this down into pieces and just research just those segments. Like there is like what Men in Black, UFOs, aliens, humanoids, cryptoids.
Men in Black scare the hell out of me.
I know, it's the way they look, like actually seeing what they're supposedly what they are.
Their encounters with people that were caught on camera just freak me out.
Just how they seem so susceptible to suggestion.
Yeah, because the people that talk to them, they're like their
almost
bodies
not catatonic, but they almost seem like
they're like in a submissive state.
In like some state of hypnosis.
Yeah, and everything they do is like totally submissive to that being talking to them.
We'll get into that, I guess. Yeah.
So tonight we have just been outlining our series, and if you guys are listening out there on Fallen Hour Radio, on Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Marcus and I are going to dive into a series about aliens, Area 51, anything to do with extraterrestrial life, and just weird phenomena that's happening in the world that can't be explained. That being said, tune in next week, 7 o'clock p.m. on our channel, facebook.com/FallenHour, on Anchor @Fallen Hour Radio to catch this series. My name is Steve Alinick, this is Marcus, and you are listening to Fallen Hour Radio.